years. My mission in life is to try to demystify the world of ghosts and spirits, and to better inform people that are greatly misinformed regarding the nature of hauntings and ghosts.
Derek Akora, which is our UK investigator. Derek is incredible because his abilities are also quite differently substantiated from others, and the reason is because Derek can communicate with a spirit guide that he calls Sam, and the spirit guide is with him all the time and relays information to Derek. So when Derek enters the property, he not only has the ability to give us information, but to communicate again with an entity that is on site via his spirit guide. So it's pretty incredible. Linda McKenzie is an incredible psychic healer as well as a clairvoyant investigator. And Linda's abilities come from mainly impressions and feelings that she receives, and also has the ability to identify the entities on site, give us names, and she even goes a little further and can clear a property as well.
I've been psychic since I'm 8 years old, and I saw a lot of angels and ghosts and many things when I was 8 years old. And then from there, I had a lot of different kinds of precognizant dreams, and where you could dream something and then it would come true. And I would have many different kinds of experiences, knowing what was going to happen before it happened. And that just kind of progressed all through my life.
You know, Sean Rube is a student investigator that has incredible abilities, and Sean came to us originally from the scientific side as well. But you know, I have found that every scientific person that enters the ISPR group has clairvoyant abilities and ends up using their abilities as well.
As you take the journey for the first time down this road, it's scary. Trying to figure out why this stuff happens and how it happens is something that you can't explain to the layperson unless they experience it. The cool thing is, most people do experience it, they don't recognize they're experiencing it. So for me to finally recognize what I'm doing, to have guidance on what I'm doing, to a certain extent, is there's without words. It's mind-blowing. It's opening doors to your mind that you didn't know that were there.
So through the years, we have investigated thousands of properties all over the world that enables us to be the team that knows more about field research than anyone else. By the investigations in England, we have now found more answers in the field of parapsychology. You know, something that I suspected was the fact that, gee, what if you're in a building from 1500 and something, or if you're in a property that had famous murders take place? What are the differences between the United States and the United Kingdom in paranormal phenomena? One of the main reasons that we went to England was to take the ISPR team and actually walk the killing fields of Jack the Ripper. You know, it's fascinating to me to go through a site like the Whitechapel murders and have our information substantiated by a historian like Donald Rumbelow, which has written many books on Jack the Ripper and the Whitechapel murders.
Right before I went around the corner, I could hear someone say, tell them about me, tell them about me, and I think her name is Polly, or it starts with a P.
Bucks Row was the scene of the first murder, the first Jack the Ripper murder, on the night of the 31st of August, 1888. The victim was a 42-year-old prostitute called Polly Nichols, who at one time had been a respectably married woman.
And I saw a picture of a woman that was kind of heavy-set, dark hair up, almost like a maid's cap or some kind of cap on her head.
She was drunk, she was filthy, she had 5 front teeth missing, but she was wearing a new hat. Round about 3:30 in the morning, on the 31st of August, 1888, 2 men came through this street, Bucks Row. And as they came through the street, they saw the figure of a woman lying in a gateway. This is the gateway immediately behind me. The 2 men couldn't make out any details because there were no lights working in the street. No street lights, no gas light, just darkness. Besides, the 2 men didn't want to get involved, so they thought they would tell a policeman what they had seen, so they went looking for a policeman. But before they found the policeman himself came through this street, and shining his lantern into this gateway, he saw what the 2 men had not been able to see. That the woman's throat had been cut back to the spine. It was only several hours later, as Polly Nichols' body was being undressed ready for washing, that it was discovered that not only had the throat been cut, but that the body had been ripped open from the vagina to the breastbone. And this is where you get the beginning of the name Jack the Ripper.
As a private investigator also for 27 years, I have worked on many homicides and kidnapping cases and so on, and I have found that clairvoyant team members have the ability to give the police and to us certain answers that were not discovered at the time of the murder. So to walk through the same sites as Jack the Ripper was just incredible.
This passageway where I'm standing now was much narrower in 1888, and it's here at the opening of this passage on the night of the 30th of September 1888 that the second of the Jack the Ripper murders took place. Eddowes was seen out here at the mouth of this passage at 1:35 a.m. talking to her killer with her hand in his chest. But nobody saw them come into Mitre Square, which is where we are now. 10 minutes later, Catherine Eddowes was dead.
It's scary. Yeah, both my hands are feeling, well, my right hand's warming up a little bit, but I can feel extreme heat underneath my hand.
Oh, really?
It feels like...
So you're probably picking up on the emotions of one of the victims. Is this one of the victims? What's the matter? Do you feel just the emotions of this person?
I really felt that in any moment, after a minute or two, I was going to pass out. I started feeling a little woozier, a lot less stable, less conscious of what was going on around me, what was being said, what my purpose in life was.
Dan, are you okay? What are you picking up?
I don't see anything. It's just kind of going away.
It's dark. Do you think this is a person dying? Yeah. You know why you keep touching your neck? Then you know why you keep doing this? What does that feel like?
I remember feeling kind of like, along with the draining of energy, just kind of like disgusting warmth, gushy feeling you get when like the blood drains away. It felt warm and sticky.
Now, police constable Watkins came through the square at 1:30 a.m. Everything was in order in the square. The only light in the square came from the policeman's lantern and through the partly open door over there. He came back 15 minutes later, 10 minutes after Eddowes had last been seen alive, and shining his lantern around the square. It stopped here in this corner, because here was lying the body of Catherine Eddowes.
And I maintain that her name began with E. First or last name, E. Yes. E. Yes.
The face had been slashed down both cheeks. There may have been an attempt to cut off one of her ears. One of the cuts had gone through the tip of her nose, which dropped off into the clothing when the body was picked up. The throat had been cut back to the spine. The clothes had been forced up. She'd been ripped open from the vagina to the breastbone, the insides lifted out and dropped over her right shoulder. And nobody had seen or heard a thing. Not the policeman on the beat, the night porter over there, or the witnesses out there.
I feel that if history is correct regarding these murders, I believe that he killed 2 women in one night.
He'd already killed in Berners Street, 10 to 12 minutes walk in that direction. And he'd been disturbed on that killing. He'd fled from the scene. He'd now crossed the invisible boundary that then existed between the two police forces, the City of London Police and the Metropolitan Police. And he'd now killed here in Mitre Square. This was his second killing on the night of the 30th of September, the double event.
I also picked up the name up very strongly, Lily. Lily. Brought down from the full name of Elizabeth.
After further investigation, we did find out that there was a young lady by the name of Elizabeth Stride that was murdered on the same night as well.
I can see someone and feel someone insides coming out.
Yeah, really.
And I mean, just, falling out.
Yes.
And I feel that, and I see that.
This area is called Spitalfields, and on the other side of the street is the old Victorian Refuge. And it was in this building that the last of the Ripper's victims lived for a short time before moving to a house nearby. Her name was Mary Kelly. She was a young woman in her 20s, and she'd moved from this refuge into number 13 Miller's Court nearby. She'd moved there with a boyfriend. Miller's Court was roughly about here, immediately behind me now, where these shot shutters are. And at 3:30 in the morning, she picked up Jack the Ripper and brought him back with her to Miller's Court. Some 30 minutes later, people in Miller's Court heard a faint cry of murder. Mary Kelly is lying on the bed facing the window. You can just see the puff sleeves of her chemise. The face has been skinned down to the skull. She can only be identified by her hair and ears.
If this makes any sense, if I may say so, I feel that the perpetrator was some kind of an artist, not professionally, but he had a way of framing things or displaying things, is what I feel.
The flesh has been stripped from different parts of the body. This is stacked up on the table at the side of the bed. The right thigh bone is sticking up in the air. It's been split open with an axe. The torso has been skinned down to the rib cage.
In slugs. It's like as if this creature who did this would also have this fetish about the breasts.
One breast, her womb and her kidneys were found under her neck. The other breast and her liver were found under one of her feet. Her heart was missing.
Can anyone pick up a last name on this? Can you get a last name?
On him?
Yes.
I said
S.
yes.
Right.
S, last name.
That's what I saw. S-A-R,
So his last name starts with an S.
But this person I know, as it's been given to me, was connected to such a high body linked with I'm talking about the monarchy.
A link to some kind of an animal involved. I don't know what this means.
So are you saying that two people committed the same murders, or did one person do this and the other man copied him at a later time?
Yes, that's what I feel.
Okay, and was that...
The Jack the Ripper mystery has not yet been solved. The hunt is still going on for the identity of the real Jack the Ripper. Lots of names have been put forward as to who he was. As far as the surviving police records show, there were 3 official suspects. Montague Druitt, a teacher, a lawyer, he committed suicide after the Mary Kelly killing. His own family believed him to have been the Ripper, but why they believed him to be the Ripper, we don't know. Number 2 on the police list was Kosminski, a Polish Jew, a homicidal maniac who believed he was controlled by forces from outer space. Number 3 on the police list was Michael Ostrog, a petty crook continually in and out of prison. Nobody knows why he was a suspect. Those are the 3 official police suspects: Druitt, Kosminski, and Ostrog.
Now, can you tune in and give me a description of this man that you believe committed the murder?
In his 30s.
In his 30s?
Quite a slim man, not a heavy-set man. Here, facially, that's where I get these like crease marks here. So I've got we've got prominent, high cheekbones, dark hair, that's for definite. Dark hair. And bits of grey.
I feel that he may have had a mustache.
Yes,
you know, there was a facial hair on mustache. He always kept his pocket watch.
Yeah.
He always kept his pocket watch.
And he was very conscious of time. He looked at it frequently. And everything had to be to the minute, to the hour.
Yes.
And this is how he worked. And I would say that, yes, he had a mustache, but it was an unusual looking mustache.
Yes. I got a real quick image, and the thing kind of thick here, and then it comes real thin right about here, but pretty long.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was unusual looking.
And you had spoken about 2 individuals earlier.
Yes.
Which one is this?
This is, I feel, that the non-royal.
The non-royal person.
Oh, I don't feel that. I feel the other.
You feel it's the royal person?
Yes, I
Peter?
do.
I feel it's the real person.
The royal person.
I feel it's the original person.
Yes, that's what I feel as well.
Original perpetrator.
So more and more names are constantly being added to the list. Every other month it seems we get a new suspect. So the mystery hasn't been solved. The hunt for the identity of the real Jack the Ripper still goes on.
I guess an interesting point in the Jack the Ripper investigation was the fact that there was so much information accumulated by the ISPR team, and being on the street itself, it was amazing to get substantial information that we could go back and find historically, but we will be continuing the investigations of the Whitechapel murders because there is so much more information to be found there, and also the real Jack the Ripper. While we were in England, of course, we had to investigate an old English pub. Because pubs are so well known there, they're so historical, many pubs are hundreds and hundreds of years old, and a lot of activity, of course, has taken place in those.
The pub itself is roughly around about 300 years old, and obviously over the years there's been extensions built on, so they're in different periods, the actual pub itself.
Yeah, hit reset. What I'd like to do is we're going to just kind of walk out into the center right here. You guys, whoever's got some information, go ahead and let me know, and we'll have you begin, okay?
gentleman's presence. There's a man's presence here.
I want to gravitate more towards the fireplace a little bit. Almost here.
Here, so I feel something.
And the main area is the ladies' toilet, which was once the gentleman's toilet, but it was converted many years ago. So in the ladies' toilet, people have experienced a presence.
Oh, feel this. Feel this. This is active.
Okay, Peter, your impression?
Strangely enough, I'm getting a female energy.
Okay.
And I'm getting a name that begins with a D, but I feel two entities, not one.
Yes. So would you say, are they both female or male and female?
I would say male and female.
Okay.
Yeah, there's definitely a male, but I'm sensing more female right now.
Okay.
For some reason, I think this was a way house, you know, a stop on routes or something. It's been here a long time, and it used to be called the Grapes, and then it was a surgeon house. And obviously people stopped here, passing sort of thing.
Yeah, feel it. Woo!
Yes. Okay.
There's a spot in here that's really cool.
I agree, Peter. I agree totally. I do. There is definitely a lady and a man that's coming into this.
Lady and man. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
People have seen a lady going out to the ladies' toilets, and the landlady that was here before saw something in the kitchen, which she said was a lady with a grey dress.
I would like to comment, if I may, that I think that this, in fact, is a hot spot. Yes, a hot spot.
Also in the pub, there were 2 actual hotspots reported by the pub owner as well as a witness. And again, the team members went directly to those locations. And many times I find that a clairvoyant member will go to a location because of the residual energy that remains there. It's almost like a beacon, you know, that a clairvoyant investigator can feel.
But this is another hot spot, and I feel this is where the entity is very touchy-feely, so to speak.
Well, the experience is really is a lot of it relates to touching.
People sat at the bar, felt somebody brushing past them, being touched on the shoulders.
This is definitely, this entity is a toucher.
This
is a toucher.
Very touchy-feely in this.
Really?
When they sit down in this area, is what I feel. Touching your head, touching your back.
And we find that does happen at times where you do feel an impression or someone touching you or walking behind you. And it's interesting to me that an investigative team of clairvoyants can not only identify the entity, but also state that this entity touches people.
I have to be convinced. I'm not saying that I disbelieve or believe.
During the investigations, I tried many different types of tests. I brought team investigators into a site one at a time to compare notes.
Is it naturally freezing down here?
Yeah, there's if I switch this on. Can I ask you a question? Have you had, because this is my guide to give me this, I take it these are called lines? Yes, beer lines, yeah. Right. Have you had any destruction with your lines? I know you're very impeccable with your lines. You are impeccable. Well, you've had problems with your lines, haven't you? Yeah. Do you know what's been causing this? Well, the occasional get on this line here. Yes. You know what's causing it now. Yeah, well, you've got spiritual interference with your lines. And that's what causes this. And it's a man who comes down here, okay, and he fiddles about and he has a good laugh.
I think he plays with things down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he,
Is there anyone
I can actually feel him going. Let's see.
But let's stop.
No, I think he's over this end. I think he plays with these things and puts them up.
Yeah.
You know, like these, the beer kegs or something.
What? Yeah. I know. As he comes in, he fiddles about here, around this area. He comes here, this corner especially. And you also had a problem with not an explosion, but something to do with kegs pushing back on you. Yeah, it's him. Yeah. I'm telling you. It is, sir. It is him.
Yeah, it was on the car side. It was the strongbow.
Yes.
And the thing come disconnected, and they're full of gas, aren't they?
Yeah.
So as the beer goes down, the container fills up with gas, and the thing floated off like that.
The shirt. Yeah, well.
Just put it on. Just put it on here.
Blame him for it, okay?
Oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
Bring you back upstairs, change the shirt.
I didn't blame him.
Many times when we enter a property, there is a myth pertaining to one person that haunts the place, and all the paranormal activity is credited to them. However, in this case, we found that there were 2 entities in this property. So even though the Gray Lady had the credit for the haunting, the male presence was there and was the one touching people. One of the really interesting properties that we worked on was Tongue Hall, built in 1594, an incredible house that still stands, and the entire team was overwhelmed in that property.
Tongue Hall was the home of the Tongue family, who've certainly been here since the 15th century, if not before. But the house wasn't built until the end of the 16th century, around about 1564. There had been 3 generations prior to this, where each member of the family had married, begat an heir, but unfortunately died before they came of legal age to enter into that full inheritance. But the Richard Tongue, who inherited about 1590, was able to get past that hurdle. So once he received his inheritance, he was then able to enter into the building of an entirely new house. It's very likely the early one was either left to rot or had been partly dismantled with the materials during this rather unfortunate period. So it's a brand new house, built in the late 16th century.
Well, my grandmother always swore as a grey lady walking here. She had the most unpleasant experience in the First World War. She had 5 sons fighting in France at the same time. 4 were wounded. The other one, Uncle Dick, he was out on patrol, and he was badly wounded and sank in the mud. Now, that seemed to affect her mind. She would often break up conversation, dash around to that part of the house, and say, I think Dick's coming home. And she used to say that a grey lady gave her messages to say that she'd be in touch with Dick. I remember this as a child quite clearly.
There were certain times in that investigation where there was an entity who was very proud of its craftsmanship in that house. That was very prevalent when I first walked in that home, how proud the workmanship, the craftsmanship of that place was.
It's one of 2 males here.
Okay, 2 males?
Yes.
Alright, go ahead, Derek.
I tell you, I've got one talking to me now.
You do?
Very clearly.
Okay.
He's just told me to come up the stairs. And he said, follow me.
Okay.
That's why I said,
Sure.
Go ahead. Sure. Thank you. One much younger than the other man. Yes. The stairwell, you say? Not here. Yes. He said he's very proud of the stairs. Are you very proud of my stairs, he said? I said, which stairs? And he pointed, he said, no, I want you to go over and I'll show you my stairs that I have built. Who are you? Okay? Don't get agitated, please. I'm your friend. We're friends with you. We come to visit you. Richard. Thank you very much. This man is Richard. Yeah? And who is the other man, please? Why does he not come with you? He's Richard also.
Basically he'll be here for a while, you know.
This is a Richard as well, you said?
Yeah, there's a Richard here. There was a Richard over there, but I think different generations, but linked together.
It might be useful to look into family history, starting about 1500, when Richard Tongue of Tongue died. He was succeeded by a Thomas, and then by a John, until we come to another Richard, who was born in 1549.
Okay? Yes.
Did Richard build this house?
No, Richard has built stairs.
Okay.
He's very proud of his stairs. He said he wants us to see his stairs.
And it was amazing that the investigative team did not know that there was a section of the house that had another staircase. And when we went into that section, Derek immediately identified the staircase as being the object that this entity was proud of.
We're coming.
He wants to show you his stairs still?
Yes. It's here. This, can I go through? Yeah. There it is. Yeah. This is it. Yeah, look. It's the stairs. Thank you. Richard. I do like your stairs. Yes, you built them. Can I stand on them? I follow you. Thank you. Is that through there? That's our way through, okay?
The staircase is particularly interesting because it's built entirely of wood. They're not very common.
You cannot stop me, you know.
Is this a male or a female?
That's a male.
It's a male. Can you ask his name?
William.
I had an Uncle William, you see. He was my father's brother. He was older. And like all the family, he was a good footballer. Andrew Warnock came along, who turned professional footballer, as my father did. And he was terribly badly wounded. He suffered greatly for all his life. The bullet went in by his kneecap and came out of the back. And the doctors, when he complained of the pain, often wanted to amputate, but he wouldn't allow him to. And he rather took his solace in drink. But he was quite a character, really.
You know, we use a magnetometer to measure the electromagnetic temporary field of a ghost, and that registers. But at the same time, if that entity is standing near the equipment, it could also cause it to malfunction.
Well, there's a lot of negative energy here. We'll give him some time to cool.
He's interfering.
All of a sudden, I hear Derek talk about the audio and how the audio is being tampered with by the entity. At the same time, Scott, our cameraman, had a problem with his camera and Andy did not. You could actually hear almost like a scraping sound on the mic taking place over and over again while this altercation was taking place.
We should get audible.
Oh, it's very cold over here.
Can you speak to us? Speak, please. Speak
It's
clear. Very clear.
It's very cold over here.
Yes.
It has been in my experience with other production companies that entities do try to communicate with us in various ways, seemingly through video cameras or tape recorders.
Second circle drop. You're at 68.9 degrees. Damn, it's going at 65 already. Yeah, it's going down.
Okay.
Beat has standing.
No, leave it be.
That's okay.
It's okay. I'm okay. And I was trying to calm the spirit down, or the ghost, or whatever you want to call it. I was trying to calm it down and kind of get to the core in the center, or the heart of it. I want to show him that it's okay, that no matter what he does here, he cannot touch, because it will dissipate the anger here. Okay?
Yes, okay.
So we're going to just let him go as cold as he can, and I'm going to show you how the heat's going to come back. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. He's going to go down a little bit more. He wants to get me cold. He knows I hate cold.
Yeah, it's going down. Temperature's going down.
Go ahead. Go down some more. Go ahead. Now I'm going to give you heat.
I'm reading an electromagnetic field here now. Oh, just fight. Just fight. Derek, you okay?
Yeah, fine.
Derek, don't do that. Oh, he's a tough one, isn't he? A little tough one, this guy. Alright, what is it? Okay, if you have a message to give me, I will allow you to give it to me. He wants you to know that he was never really mean and harsh, he says. That he just didn't know what he was doing. And I beg to differ with you because you did know what you were doing.
Still dropping in temperature at 57.
I know he is because he also now has a friend of his in anger in another part of the house. And he has called that friend here.
Male or female?
Male, as well. And maybe a relative somewhere down the line, you know, that he knew maybe after he had died.
Yeah.
I think he got a little annoyed with me for playing with it. So, and I have to excuse myself with that. You know, because as a good psychic, you never interfere with anyone or anything's life path unless it's extremely called for, because we don't have that right to do that. Come to me. You need to do this. We just want to know what this is about. Are you okay? It's okay. Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you back down?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. We just want to know what it is what this is all about, and why, if you feel that this is an intrusion here, and you have to call some other people, why? It's so cold here again.
I would say it'd be that time. Let's see how it lasts.
You can do this. Let's do this. Of course. Oh yeah, it wanted me to know that that was completely unacceptable. That it was in no way, shape, or form ready or willing to listen to what I had to say.
While the incident upstairs was taking place, and Derek had been attacked and couldn't breathe, to me that was pretty substantial, because as a clairvoyant investigator, he should have been able to know that this was coming, or to be able to push the entity away. However, he was physically attacked, could not breathe, and keeled over, and we thought that he was going to really have a problem breathing and could have died from that incident. When I've studied the tape, and I've seen Linda McKenzie attacked as well, there is a slight discrepancy due to the fact that, of course, Linda knows that the entity passed in front of her and did seem to push her out of the way. However, there was a small stair there that Linda's feet were knocked against, and as she went back, she stated that she had been pushed. You know, to the scientific community, we could say, well, gee, she merely tripped, and she hit this other, step, and that was the end of it. However, by Linda's explanation, and from seeing Derek attacked, and also the temperature gauge that Linda was holding in the corner was dropping very, very rapidly, there was definitely phenomena taking place.
It threw me off balance. And now I don't know whether it pushed me or it was just the energy or electromagnetic energy as it passed by me that made me fall down.
And there's a child up here, a female, little girl, little child.
I am freezing.
Yeah.
I am absolutely freezing.
Besides the two Richards that we had located in the property, that obviously had lived in the house a number of years ago, as well as built part of the house, probably in the early 1600s, we also located a young girl that we identified by the name of Anne, 8 years old. And the entire team individually all found this young girl to be present.
There's the name of Anne comes to mind. I don't know if that's a family name or a first name of a female.
Oh, that was my father's sister. She was the only girl in the family. I think 5 boys and 1 girl. And he died.
This little girl's crying.
What little girl?
Hold on. In physical age, this girl, I feel, would be 7, 8, 9. She hasn't reached 9 now. She's looking forward to her 9, so she's at 8.
Yes, there is a little girl, and she is very sweet. She died very young. She died of tuberculosis.
Do you know how old she is?
8.
And she'd be 8, 9.
Oh my God, I just saw pigtails.
Oh, really?
Long pigtails. I see dark hair, but almost with red running through it, so like a red with pigtails.
And she had long plaits. Plaited hair. Pigtail.
Pigtails. She comes back in the house every once in a while because she had a special toy here that when she was dying, her mother had said she would bury with her. And yet her mother didn't bury with her. So she comes back to look for the toy. An entity is standing close by, and the entity is very, very upset. Chances are I'm going to become very, very upset as well.
Did she just walk out? Dana? Did she just leave you, or is she still with you now? This little girl. Man, I got chills up mine. What's the matter?
Yeah, that's a girl. That's the girl.
What's the matter with your nose, do you know? What's the matter with it? It's okay. We won't hurt you.
She's frightful.
Yeah. Is there somebody that you're afraid of in there?
Feels like they're coming for her, I think.
Yeah.
They're coming for her, she's afraid. That's what I'm feeling.
At the end of the investigation, when everybody basically left and went back downstairs, I felt compelled to stay where I was. So that I could get what she was. And we know we're not going to do anything about it. and I was feeling overwhelmingly upset and depressed, and it wasn't for myself. I don't think I was totally feeling things empathically anymore. For example, I wasn't feeling the sadness from the little girl, and that's who I was in communication with. But as an adult and as a female and as a former stepmother, I understand what it's like to hurt for a child, and I think I was processing the information that I learned as an adult would, as a mother figure would for a child, and it was devastating. Well, after everyone disappeared downstairs, Dana had come to me and asked if I would release the girl. So I asked Derek to stand point, and we did. And I took the little girl by the hand, and we brought her to the window. Her mom was there, and I explained many things to her, and she was finally released, and I did see her go to her mom and Derek. It was a very tearful experience because both Derek and I saw the spirit leaving and going into the mother's arms, and that was really nice. So it was something good I did.
One of the interesting things of Tung Hall was the fact that we found that the young girl, Anne, the 8-year-old, was probably from the 18 or 1900s. Yet the two Richards that we located had to be from the early 1600s because they're the ones that built the house. And I have had a major breakthrough in the field of parapsychology by finding out that entities that are earthbound are here in this plane of existence with us. No matter what period they're from, they still are aware of one another and can interact with one another, just like in Tung Hall. When we had the opportunity to go to Liverpool, I decided to investigate the Empire Theatre where Derek was performing. You know, so many theaters have incredible history to them, and the actors die or commit suicide or come back to keep performing, and so I thought maybe the Empire would be haunted as well, and of course it was.
The original theatre was built in 1865. It was the old Alexander Theatre. It was knocked down and rebuilt in 1923. There's only one portion of the old theatre what exists, which is on stage right, as we are now. Some of the back wall of the stage and some of the side wall of the outside building. Yeah. And that's when it became the Empire Theatre, Moss Empires.
Let's go onto the stage, see what we can find.
I was born not far from here, about 400 yards, so I've always lived around here, and I've always come to this theatre. I've been stage manager for 10 years, worked here for 14. Since I've been here, it's been rumoured that there's been about 5 sightings of, you know, different things, phantoms.
Allow you a chance just to kind of get tuned into the building.
There's not ever been reported on this side of the stage left. It's always been on the stage right, which is funny because in the mid-70s it was rebuilt, and that's the only anything we've heard of is from that side.
I feel an energy that comes in and out, and it is either a stagehand or someone that has that resides on the top of the catwalks up here.
But if you were on that side of the stage in the dressing rooms, you could hear people walking above you on the landings, and there'd be nobody there, because I investigated a couple of times, because I've got to lock up the building backstage anyway, and there'd be nobody there, so, you know, that couldn't be explained.
A young girl, I don't know what age, maybe 11, 12. Her name may start with a J, like Joanna or Jessica.
The one that everyone seems to talk about is a young girl who fell from the circle, from the front of the circle. She's been seen working mainly in the administration side of the theatre, which is the front of the house, in the corridors, and also in the stalls door.
Well, I would agree with Linda in the fact that there is a young energy female, but I don't sense it as we speak.
Yeah, it's not here.
Do you think, but do you think that this is an active presence that comes through here?
I would say
Yes.
yes. I would agree with her and say yes.
Okay.
She's also been seen with a man. Now we can't get whether he's got no eyes or black eyes. They can't ever work out because no one stays around too long.
And you said like 11, 12.
So that's what I'm thinking. It could be a little younger.
Yeah. I don't pick up the name, however, but I do feel a young female, yes. I would say 10-ish, 11.
She's supposed to be dressed in Victorian clothes. She's about 8 to 12. Lovely blonde hair, long blonde hair. Lovely looking girl.
I think one of the most interesting points in the Empire was the fact that as the investigative team was down in the basement area, we were down below the stage, a floor or so underground, and Linda and Peter found that there was a young girl that was haunting the property. And it wasn't that they had located her at the time, they all received that information and thought that there was a young girl present.
One night, a theatre fireman was locking up, switching off front of the house, and he went into the stalls bar to turn all the lights off. And as he come out this little room, with all the bank of switches out, he came out this little room, and the young girl was standing there, and she was crying. So we went up to her and said, what's wrong, are you lost? And next minute, he turned around, and this gentleman, with no eyes or black eyes, whatever, came towards the little girl, got hold of her hand, turned around, walked away, and just disappeared as they went up the stairs. And we've never seen the fireman since.
We located this young entity, and she took us all the way back through the basement area, up over the stage area, into the seating to show us where she died.
Right here.
Yeah?
But it's cold here.
Just on the circle front, seat 10 on the circle front, that's where the young girl, but we say she was dressed as a Victorian clothes. She fell on the circle front. Her mother had gone to the toilet, and she was panicking for the mother, and she fell from the circle front and died in the stalls.
You get a sense of someone falling from the balcony.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
From the balcony?
From the balcony, I do.
I've got this huge pain going right across here.
From here?
Like a 2x4. Bam! Right across.
Really?
Whoa. When we were down in the bottom section, and we were walking, all of a sudden it felt like somebody cracked me across the back, across my shoulder blades with a 2x4, a beam of wood, and it hurt.
Overall, we found that the Empire investigation was very successful due to the fact that we did locate an entity on site, and we also were able to get historical information on the little girl's death, and that she did fall off the balcony and die. One of the highlights of being at the Empire Theater, of course, was watching Derek Acorah perform live on stage. But I also wanted to continue my investigation of clairvoyant team members. And I also thought about the historical properties that we had gone through already, where the skeptic might say, well, gee, you already read that information, or you have a book on Jack the Ripper. Well, in this respect, I wanted to prove to not only the scientific community, but the skeptical community, that these things are real and that there is life after death. So during the intermission of the show, I went on stage and asked the audience if someone would volunteer to let us conduct an investigation in their home and not tell us anything about the activity, and that we would go in blind and we would tell them what goes on in their house. But we didn't anticipate anything like the investigation that we ended up doing.
The investigation at private residence in Liverpool was the most significant to me. That one, I think, choked me up the most, and most often. It was the most significant. It was the one that I went home feeling like, oh my God, I helped do something that was decent.
My wife died 5 weeks ago. She died in the bedroom. She died of cancer. As I say, she died in bed. And when the coffin came home from the chapel of rest, the coffin was over there. So I put Nicola to bed. I put it in our bed in the bedroom. It started when the family came down. A tear started coming out of her left eye, and it rolled right down her face. And I thought, that's strange. Somebody said they can call at the last tier. And around 2 o'clock, I heard a scream. So I thought, oh, Nicola's crying. I'll go and check her. And when I went up, I thought she was just crying normal, but then she went into hysterics. And it took like I'd say just over 2 hours to calm her down. And when we asked her, what was she crying for? She said somebody came over to tuck her in bed. And then it was like, I'd say about a week after that. I find it difficult to go to sleep sometimes. I was lying in bed and I heard the stairs creaking, but it was on every stair and it was the way I used to help Anne up the stairs. And I thought, that's just, and it was slow. Everything was the same way. It's like when I had to lift it on each stair. And as I said, it stopped when it got to the top. I don't know if it was Anne's presence, if she must have sensed the fear coming from me. Because although I'd love to see Anne, I'd also be scared at the same time.
And I noticed when we were at the theater that Nicolai, she has her little... we were sitting on the sofa, of course, and all of a sudden the telephone rang. And he came back very quickly and said, gee, there was nobody there. And then he stated that that had happened several times, that the phone had rung and that no one was on the other end. And we're not quite sure today if it's an entity trying to communicate, or again, is it the phenomena caused by the presence of an entity that could make an electrical charge and ring the telephone. I noticed last night when you were at the theater with us that your daughter has a little stuffed rabbit.
Yes,
she calls Snowy. She seems to be very upset and talks to the animal, but then starts beating it up. Is this normal for her?
Well, it's obvious that she lost a woman 5 weeks ago, and it's obvious that she knows as well that Anne should be here.
Do you ever hear her speaking to someone and no one's there?
I've heard her talking when she's been in the bedroom, but she senses that something's not right.
When we got to this young man's house, Derek became very upset and said, oh my God, there are lives at stake here, and we're going to have to be very careful. I knew that immediately, and what I decided to do was to bring in Derek first. The young man had come there to see him and trusted him more than any other team investigator.
There's a man here that takes me. Oh God, I don't know, this kind of... All right, thank you. And he comes here to say hello to you. And he's just said here, Anne is okay. Anne is okay. You know Anne, please?
That's not his name.
Question. Did you lay your good lady wife under the window?
I was over there.
Yes. I know. She wants you to know, as she looks at herself now, she's as fit as a fiddle. She should really be in a sleep state, but she's decided that she wanted to stay here. And bless her for wanting to stay here with her family.
She left, like most that leave untimely, a lot of unfinished business, and she's very, very concerned about her child.
Okay. What did you place around here? Please. Yes. She's thanking you. Okay? She's doing that to you. She's very tearful for the babe. Yes. She wants me to talk to you quietly and privately over something. I don't mind that. Yeah, sure, I don't feel it should be broadcast in any way, but it would be of great help to you. Okay. Is it good or bad? It's good. It's good. I'm just going to say these words to you. It is worthwhile, believe me, to live on, okay? Okay. To live, you must live. Your Anne is telling you those things in thought, okay? And she wants to see a lovely babe child grow into a full, beautiful lady. Okay?
In the investigation of Nicky and his daughter, I find it really interesting that, one of the most common experiences that people have of paranormal activity is when a friend or relative dies. Most of the time, people have experiences that they relay to us and they say, my grandmother passed away last week and I found her standing at the end of the bed. And she communicated to me and told me that she's no longer in pain and that she is okay now.
But with your approval, I mean, she's your lovely wife and a lovely daughter, that she does want to stay around a little bit longer, okay? She has been, as I pointed out to her, where she's going, the loved ones are staying here with her. I've just been told, by the way, by Annie, okay? She's sorry. They will try very hard not to make commotion and noises. Okay? Now, when this happens, when you come into our atmosphere in numbers, a lot of things happen with electrical things. Even the likes of, lights on and off at times, even water sometimes, and especially phones, okay? Especially phones.
It's happened 6 times now.
Yeah, but she's doing it.
I thought it was someone messing about.
No, she's doing it, okay? She watches, as you walk, she follows you. She wants her partner settled. And you see, you know what happens? And I tell you very sincerely, if you're distressed, it's natural, it's normal with your love and bereavement. However, you have got the knowledge now that bereavement is not the end, okay? Bereavement, what it is, is a new beginning. Seems cruel, I know, of the boss to take Anne over at a tender age. However, he's got plans for her to do great work over there. Okay? That's right. He has. But the thoughts that have come to you in your so much quieter times.
Yeah.
Do you understand me? And, in other words, can I be blunt but very honest and fair and truthful to you? It's such a wrench to you that your lovely Anne has been taken over by God. And apparently Anne has given me the inclinations of saying that she has noticed since the passing, okay, of your great feeling of loneliness, okay? And thoughts are going about, do I really want to stay here? I want to be with my Anne. Do you understand me?
Yeah, I thought that one frightens me because I know what you're saying, Dad.
Well, no, I'm not here to frighten you.
No, what I mean by that is I know what you're saying because that's why she mentioned it.
Yeah, you're staying here, okay? I've been told. You, sir, are staying here, and you're not leaving this God's earth until past your 81st year, going to your 82nd. You've got a lot of life and a lot of things to do in this life.
What you're on about is, I'm not going to say anything to the cameras, but that did cross my mind.
I know it is, because your aunt told me. But can I just say this to you? Yes, but can I just say this to you? Your friendship with Anne and your love for Anne will never, ever perish. It can't. It's eternal. And Anne knows, and she's excited over that.
So I brought Linda in to the house next, and Linda's healing abilities actually made this man look about 10, 15 years younger.
I did a lot of energy work with him. I wanted to soothe his heart, much like I did with Richard in Tung Hall, in the Entity. I wanted to soothe his heart without disturbing their process, because they have to go through what they have to go through. It's their life.
And when Linda went through her healing techniques with young Nikki as well, we decided not to film that because, again, it's very personal, very sensitive. Not everything's for the camera. When Linda was finished, I brought Peter in, and Peter immediately walked in and said the house is clear at this time.
I feel that whatever he feels is active will soon diminish as his grieving period subsides. That's what I'm feeling here.
After Derek and Linda worked with this guy, there was such a marked improvement in him. He looked so much younger, and he looked